Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever live episode of Seriously Loco. It is your host, Phil Bakke, and I'm joined by Christian Canales. Christian, we're used to going live for our watch-alongs, but first time doing this sort of thing for the podcast.
It feels different. I don't know. It feels like I should have had my hair and makeup done for this for some reason. The game days always feel so casual, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure right now.
Yeah, it does feel like a little more formal, but Fernie's already in the chat letting us know that we're late, which we were a little. I said 7, and it was we were a little late, but we were making sure things were good on this end. It was only because I guess I was late for the last live stream too, so. You're right, Fernie. When you're right, you're right. But I wore this Liverpool kit just for you, so so I hope you're enjoying it. But yeah, we have a good show, I think, lined up. We're currently watching Austin Bold taking on LA Galaxy 2. Obviously, both teams recent sources of Locomotive frustration with the. Obviously, that draw, frustrating home draw to Bold, and then the loss on the last day to LA Galaxy 2. We'll talk about that game in a little bit, but first, I just want to introduce things with it's a little. We normally don't do big ad reads or anything like that, but we did a little partnership with a scouting service. Christian, me and Mika especially, we're always diving in the analytics, and we're trying to find those stats. Was trying to do the XG stuff and all that. So we found this service, Smarter Scout, which smarterscout.com. They provide advanced analytics, and you can compare different players from leagues all over the world. And with their premium membership, you can get USL as part of that. So it's pretty cool. $5 a month. $5 a month gets you that premium membership and access to a bunch of advanced metrics on thousands of players from all around the world, including USL. You can browse dozens of leagues for free with 3D touch maps and slick data visualizations. And you can add the USL Championship and Europe's top second-tier leagues for that $5 a month. You can just sign up at smarterscout.com. So I wanted to start out with that because I'm not big on getting the ad thing out there, but I do really like the product. So I wanted to get that out there because it is actually really cool. So if you guys want to get more involved in the stats and see some bigger picture kind of stuff, definitely check out Smarter Scout. It's pretty slick actually. Stats wise though, this last game of the season, not one to write home about.
Yeah, I don't want to look at this particular game on that service or any service really, because it was very disappointing.
It was a bit strange. I mean, do you think that there's a little bit of a strange kind of feel to the lineup? I mean, the way that we lined up, we rested a couple of key pieces, but a lot of our big players still played, but we saw it, I think, in midfield and then in attack as well. We saw a little bit different look than normal from Mark. Do you think that just hurt our fluidity a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of games we've been playing so well, we've had the similar lineups, and so to just change it up at the end of the year, though I can understand the reasons why, I don't think it did us any favors.
The first thing that I noticed I wasn't going to interrupt this early, not for a goal. I want to point out that I believe Sean McFarlane has dislocated his elbow again, or dislocated his shoulder again, which happened 2 times in our match against them. Twice he went down with a dislocated shoulder, and it's happening with an alarming regularity. At what point do you just say hey, I don't think you should be playing with this condition anymore?
I don't know. I mean, that's hard because I know soccer is a physical game, but you play soccer with your feet, and so depending on the circumstances, coach may be want to say, hey, like, you don't need your arm to kick a football.
Yeah.
And we're already strapped for depth as it is. So maybe that's it. But maybe, they're just trying to wait the season out, and I don't know his backstory, but maybe this might be, and towards the end of his career.
Yeah, I actually think Sean McFarlane is fairly young, I think, compared to a lot of the guys on Austin's roster, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Welcome to the chat for Mo and Priscilla. Thank you guys for joining in. The first big thing that stuck out about this match, though, on Saturday, on the final day, Locomotive wearing the dark blue desert dusk, whatever the thing is, kit, with the white shorts. Now, were we doomed simply for that combination from the very get-go?
Yeah, I didn't love it. I have to think, I don't know what the communication process is like. I don't know if they bring every piece of every kit with them when they travel, but I'm thinking maybe they wanted to come out wearing the all whites, and Galaxy 2 as the home team, I assume, probably gets first pick, and so they came out with the all whites, and probably had to make something up on the fly is what I'm hoping happened.
Yeah, I feel like we should have probably expected to wear, the Navy shorts as well. It was it's one of those strange things. Like, sometimes you see in even across like the big leagues of Europe and all that stuff, sometimes you see a strange combination that they don't normally wear just because of a potential clash. But in this one, the white shorts were more of a clash as LA Galaxy 2, with a good chance Restrepo saving there. But the match had this weird vibe to it on Saturday. Obviously resting a few of those key pieces, but it felt like we knew that we didn't really need anything out of the match with Sac Republic getting battered earlier in the day. I think we kind of knew that we'd be sixth, and the energy of the match kind of fell into that, where it was, whatever happens. We'd like a win, but we're not really bothered by the result.
Yeah, I guess, because there was absolutely no intensity. Everyone kind of looked like they were just wandering around out there. But it's also disappointing because we've heard Mark say many times that his goal is to go out there and win every game. But it just did not look that way.
The first goal is one it seemed like we had kind of cut out of our game recently. It's just that chip ball to the back post and simple header for Zubac at the back post. I mean, really just a poor goal to concede for Locomotive. Yeah,
to me, I mean, he got way up in the air.
Yeah.
And it was almost one of those, like in the Orange County goal. Oof. The Orange County goal where maybe they just didn't think he was going to get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't, he didn't head it down with a whole lot of pace. It was well placed for sure.
Absolutely.
But I think there just should have been better coverage on him and better coverage of that far post.
Yeah, it just seemed a little strange, and like we kind of I don't know, just let him free at the back post, which we haven't given up a goal like that, as I said, it seems, in a while. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but the second goal, ? The whole sequence surrounding that struck me as so strange. There was just a long pause. The goal wasn't awarded for quite some time, it seemed, and finally the referee points to the center circle, and given the goal, obviously the team was absolutely beside themselves that it was given. Looking at it back, I mean, just one of those USL things where it's tough to tell from the replay.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely cannot tell from the replay. And to me, I think in a league without any sort of review, unless that ball is clearly in the net, I don't think you can award a goal. It just doesn't. It doesn't seem like the right thing to do. So yeah, I cannot say I agree with it. I don't think that it was handled correctly, and I can't blame anyone on the team for being incredibly upset and felt bad for them.
Yeah, I looking at the positioning of the defender's body on the line, I think it's Fox who clears it off the line, or maybe Kiffy. I can't remember, but either way, when where he's standing on the line just kind of insinuates, I guess, that it doesn't seem like it could possibly be over the line given where he cleared it from. So, yeah, a little bit of a sucker punch on the second goal to concede it in that manner.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I forget how it works with soccer, but the whole ball has to cross the line, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, especially with the way, because he was pretty upright when he did it, so if that ball is over the line, it's hard to think that he's able to clear it back. You would think that it was going to hit the post or the top of the net or something. Sure. And so that's another thing that, again, we're just using what we can because we don't have a down the line angle to look at or anything. It just doesn't seem like the physics works out there.
Yeah, Priscilla, I gotta agree with you though. The vibe was off, as you said. The kids were all off. The vibe was off. And then Fernie, to answer your question, we will be at Whiskey Blonde on Saturday to do the live supporter watch long special playoff edition. So we'll have after this, we'll have the tweet and Facebook post and all that promoting that particular event, which will be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we can shore up the audio a little bit, and we've got the ability now. I've got a nice little piece of equipment that will allow us to wear headphones and all monitor ourselves. So while you guys are going nuts over in the corner, we'll actually be able to hear each other, and it'll be awesome. So yeah, really looking forward to the upgraded setup there. Just trying to work out the audio in the bar, because since they can't get the game audio, it would be nice to just add our noise to your glorious noise as well. So yeah, we'll see if we can get that a little bit shored up on Saturday. And yeah, it should be a great party down there with Eighth Notch. And as always, the end of the LA Galaxy 2 match, Locomotive do fashion not quite a few, but 3 or 4 decent chances to score. Josue Aron Gomez a little unlucky, striking the post. And Omar Salgado trying the overhead effort just a few minutes later. But is that encouraging that despite the fact that we kind of knew that it wasn't that big of a deal whether we won or lost, and with the players that we had in the team, no Velasquez, I believe Contreras came on late. With the players we had out there, them fighting back and fashioning those chances, does that still give us kind of a good feeling going into the playoffs?
I think so. They showed that they hadn't given up completely, I guess, and that maybe they understand that some momentum is necessary, and that just because we're in the playoffs doesn't mean that the season is over. Yeah. So it was promising to see. Like you said, fortunately, Gomez getting the Nick Ross treatment from the post. Yeah. On what would have been a great goal. So we weren't able to pull through.
Looking at the stats for this particular match, it was easily one of the poorest matches for quite a few of our players, it seemed. No one really covered themselves in glory. Josue Gomez does the best job, but his is primarily based off of the fact he does have the 2 shots on target out of his 4 total shots. Completes 22 out of 24 of his passes, which is always good to see, and completed 4 dribbles. So Aron kind of taking up that the Velasquez role,
someone
if you will,
had to.
in the team, trying to be that creative outlet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he was he was rewarded for his efforts. Another not player of the week, but first 11 team of the week. So probably a lot in part with the Tacoma game, but his performance, especially relative to the rest of the team in the LA game, can't be ignored.
Yeah, the again, just not in front of goal. Omar has 2 shots on target out of his 3 total shots, but not the. We know that Omar playing up top. We talked about it in the group chat this week. It's just he's just a different player out on the wing than he is when he's playing as that striker. And do you think there's a particular reason behind it, or is it just winger is where he thrives?
I just think he's I just think he's more comfortable out there. Doing more than being expected to just turn and shoot. I think he likes to be a little more creative and kind of make his own shots. So I think that's all there is to it.
It certainly wasn't a match where anyone necessarily covered themselves in glory. Alexi Bassetti, I think, had just a little bit of trouble asserting himself, and I think the best minutes that we've seen from Alexi have been with other big creative players around, where he's able to kind of get into space and do his own thing, but he's not the focal point for the attack.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because we have the personnel to do that, but we just didn't deploy them on Saturday. Do
you think that it was a chance that Mark saw for a little bit of rotation and just giving some of these guys who have played most of the run in there's a discussion about Omar happening in the chat. I'll get to that in a second, but is it this chance for Mark to rest a few players and kind of give them, it's this risk reward of we're in the playoffs now and everything is win or go home. So it didn't really matter at the time. It ends up not mattering, but do you think any of the players will benefit from this extra time off?
I would hope so. There's probably a little nagging injuries and things that we maybe don't know about that those extra couple of days could mean a lot to them.
Sure.
So you have to hope that. And I think even the players that played, maybe they didn't benefit so much, but I think it was, like you said, kind of a low-stakes opportunity to kind of give them a pulse check and see where they are heading into the playoffs. Players like Bassetti, who haven't been with us for too long and haven't gotten, I don't think he's played a full 90 game before. I'm not sure if he did on Saturday either, but just trying to give them those long minutes and see where they are. Players like Chapa, who haven't been starting recently, kind of seeing how he does in that role in case he needs to get deployed that way, and just kind of seeing how that lineup kind of functions together in a game where there wasn't a lot riding on it.
Mm-hmm. So the discussion happening in the chat, not argument, but just going back and forth about Omar's shooting, I think, essentially. And we know that Omar's shooting has not been a big positive of his game, but he does remain a big creative force for the team. So I did a little digging on another plug for Smarter Scout, but one of the little pieces of info that I pulled out was that when Omar is playing on the left-hand side of attack as that left winger, he's been involved in 100% of the moves that we score on. So when he's out on the left, he has touched the ball at some point in every single scoring move that we have had when he's out there. So yeah, his shooting definitely not the biggest thing, but his ability to link up down that left-hand side, and then at the end of the day, like, he's got 6 assists, so, or I believe for the season. So he is our most, in terms of assists, he is our most creative player out there. Obviously, we know the impact of Velasquez and certain other creative forces, but Omar is definitely a like one of our best creative outlets. So it's one of those things where the eye test kind of matches, where he looks so dominant out on the wing and doesn't look that good at striker, and the stats actually really support it.
Yeah, and I mean, Mark knows this. I think that any time where he's not playing out on the wing is just based on necessity, not as a tactical move.
Fernie's going in on Omar as is Mao, but I will say, it's true. The numbers, to a certain extent, don't lie. But yeah, you'd expect him to have more assists and just more goal involvements across the board. But yeah, that's what I'll say. I mean, the LA2 game, it's a weird end to the season, because I would have liked for the season to end at home. In my mind, the Timbers 2 match is the last game of the season. I don't know. It just felt like a strange way to, almost like the season, knowing that we were going to the playoffs. I guess the regular season ending wasn't the exclamation point that I kind of expected.
Yeah, it's always weird. I'm glad that we did clinch at home. But yeah, when you have that high, and then especially when you lose the last away game, it kind of puts a damper on everything. So yeah, if we could have just played the 33 games, 33 games, I think that would have been fantastic.
Yeah, the the games going on now tonight, though, happy to not be a part of those. How big is it that we missed the play-in round?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I selfishly wanted us to be able to host a home game, without having to depend on anyone else for that. But it feels good, I guess, knowing that we don't have to work as hard as these other 4 teams in the conference are doing, and there's just a lot less pressure on a short break too. These teams all played Saturday, and to come back 4 days later and have to play for your lives, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, there is a lot going on, and I know we really don't talk about the Eastern Conference, but going down the results of what's going on in the play-in round as it stands, Birmingham Legion defeated North Carolina FC, who are managed, pretty high profile by the Dave Sarachan, the former interim United States men's national team coach. And Birmingham Legion, after going down on 2 separate occasions, it was 1-0 North Carolina, then 1-1, then 2-1 North Carolina, and then Birmingham equalized in the 66th, and then in the 90th minute, J.J. Williams got the winner for Birmingham. Pretty cool moment for an expansion team to get one over on a more established second division club in the U.S.
Yeah, definitely. And from everything that I'd been reading, I think out of the 8 play-in teams, North Carolina was rated the highest had the highest chance of winning it all.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that was like a 8% chance, but out of 8 teams that are basically the same, to be at the top of that is a big deal, and to be able to pull off that upset, so good job by Birmingham.
And it does just kind of show how wild this postseason could get when an upset like that happens in the very first play-in game. The other play-in game in the East is in extra time. Currently, Ottawa Fury and Charleston Battery tied 1-1 in that one. So yeah, pretty amazing series of games so far. And when it is this one and done style, it adds a little bit. I mean, it feels a little bit like, I think you said earlier this week, it feels a little bit like March Madness.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this league where basically, except for maybe 2 or 3 teams, anyone can win any game on any given day, and it wouldn't be a huge surprise. So it's great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm also just looking forward to not ending in draws anymore. I think draws have kind of been a bane for us. Like, how many draws do we have this season? Like 12, I think. Yeah. So to be able to kind of do away with that, it's hard because I also have no idea how we function as a team in extra time, in pens.
Right.
So that'll be just a completely new aspect for us. And I wonder how, it makes me think about how Mark feels about it, how the players feel about it, having not done that for who knows how long since they had to play extra time.
Right.
So I'm excited to experience all that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, we've seen a few penalty takers out of our current squad this year. Not that many penalties awarded, but Seb Contreras we know can take a pen. Kiesewetter on his day is a good penalty taker. Recent evidence notwithstanding, and then we know Seb Velasquez 3 for 3, I believe, from the penalties, or 2 for 2. Excuse me, 2 for 2 from the penalty spot. So we know Seb will be in the rotation, but yeah, it's penalty shootouts are always interesting for when you start to get beyond the kind of skill players. It's like, okay, who's that fourth or fifth guy? And then, barring the absurdity of potentially, the entire team taking penalties.
God, I hope Omar doesn't have to shoot a penalty.
Yeah, hopefully he's better from the spot than he is from the edge of the area. But, yeah, Mao, to answer your question, I definitely will be at a home game if we host one. I hope that happens. And aside from us playing Fresno, obviously that's the primary concern. But once if we have a win secured, then I'm going to be glancing across at that Reno scoreline and just hoping that whoever wins these play-in games got the job done, and we can host a conference semifinal. That would be a pretty amazing first-year accomplishment, I think. But as it stands, Austin and LA have just kicked off the second half, and it is 1-0. Austin scored in the second minute or something like that. Yeah, Tomasi scored in the 9th. So they lead off the back of that. They've predictably played to frustrate LA since then. They've had less of the ball.
Who'd have thought?
I think we all know it is a windy night in Austin, down there on the south side of town. For anyone familiar with Austin, Circuit of the Americas. But it seems like they've done a decent job. I mean, I've definitely seen home matches for Austin a lot less full than this. It's not a sellout by any stretch of the imagination, but they do have fans on the camera side, which a lot of times doesn't happen for them. So
I will say that supporter group for Austin is just adorable. All 6 of them.
These playing games kind of bring up, I mean, Birmingham got the job done on the road, but they always, once we get to the playoffs, everybody's looking at these home road kind of splits and how teams perform, especially on the road in USL. And it seems like kind of across the board, teams just don't get that many results on the road. Like, is it the home field advantage in these playoffs even bigger just because of how things normally shake out?
I think that just as a smaller league, that resources for fields are so different, and so not every pitch is as uniform as the next. And I think you really do kind of get an advantage from kind of knowing the little quirks about your field, where the ball maybe bounces a little bit differently, how it rolls in a particular spot, what part of the pitch is actually grass and what is just painted, like live grass, and what is painted green. So I think that there is something to that for sure, and I think that might contribute to that.
The obviously the big match that Locomotive fans kind of have the corner of their eye on is later tonight at 8:30. I don't know if we'll still be live at that point. We'll see how things are flowing. But Sacramento Republic at home against New Mexico United. Roland in the chat saying, I didn't even know Sacramento was going to MLS next season. Do you think they still have something to play for, or they don't care because they will be playing top flight football next season? So I think Sac Republic agreed to join MLS in 2021. So I think they're still a couple of seasons away from, or a season. I guess next year will kind of be what Nashville did this year of like the swan song. Do you think it impacts the outlook of the organization, or do you think they kind of will take the opportunity to try to improve and almost treat that additional season as like their chance to get legitimately promoted, or as close as you can get?
Well, I think that they absolutely have something to play for, because, I mean, I don't believe, I could be 100% wrong. I'm just trying to remember, because there was, an article about all this as far as like fan support and attendance and all that kind of stuff goes. I don't know necessarily that they were kind of in that, top 3 or 4. So I think that they have kind of a reputation to play for. They could take this as an opportunity to build that up, build their team up. I don't know what the transition's like, if they keep the same players, how many players they're going to get rid of, etc.
Yeah.
But to kind of keep the brand up, you don't want to go into your first MLS season having come in last place the season before in USL. So if nothing else, I think that they are going to do that, just to kind of continue to maintain interest and to gain new interest.
The crazy thing about Sacramento, or these teams joining MLS from USL, we saw FC Cincinnati. It was their inaugural season in MLS this year. They had the best record in USL the year before and were completely outmatched when they got to MLS. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into that kind of keep it from being the smooth-ish transition that goes on, amongst promoted teams in like abroad. But I think that there's maybe even more of an emphasis now, given how things went for Cincinnati, for Sacramento to go out and make sure they're better in time for their first season.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as a business owner, I don't know, I've never been a multimillionaire executive, but to me, I would, even though I'm sure it's mostly about the money for them, you still have to have kind of some pride in the product that you're putting out and that you're paying for. So I would hope that that's kind of an incentive to do that. Maybe Cincinnati did make a ton of money for their, ownership group this year, but to go from, the best to the worst is still, that's a bad look.
Yeah, it is. I think Sacramento will try to. I mean, they're already getting kind of dragged online about the fact that they finished 7th in USL and just got selected to move up. So I'm taking pride in the fact that the team that just got picked to move up to MLS, we finished above them. So yeah, I have to. You got to take the victories where they come, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't think it. I mean, I wouldn't drag the team for that. I mean, they're just playing the game where the rules are already in place, So.
Yeah, I think it's more about the ownership / MLS and the whole setup of things.
And I'm still new and naive to a lot of that, but even then you can tell if you've taken one business course in any sort of level of education, you kind of understand that it's purely about the money, and it's not fair to fans, and you can kind of see why Major League Soccer in the U.S. just doesn't hold the prestige that even lower league soccer in other places in the world has.
Yeah, and Austin 100% right, because they better win tonight. Sac has one job. I do think that I've got all these memes locked and loaded, and I just need New Mexico to be eliminated so that I can unleash them on the world.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the game. Even if I don't know, I'm not even gonna put out into the universe. Sacramento's gonna win.
Yep. As Austin double their advantage off a corner. I think it's McFarland is number 17. Simple goal, but Austin does look, barring as they do a team tribute to Promise Isaac. Yeah, just a...
Oh, I'm glad his shoulder stayed in.
Yeah. A little bit of a shanked finish there, but it's in the back of the net. And, yeah, it does look like Austin Bold will be moving on to the next round, which, with their placement...
Oh, no. SAFC was up 2-0 on Saturday. That's all I'm going to say.
True.
Playing against 10 men. I still don't understand what happened.
True.
Yeah, they had one job.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, it was, and we even held up our side of the bargain by losing to Los Dos.
Yeah,
so
we did our part, guys.
That's the real story here, is that Mark actually sent the boys out to lose because he knew that we'd stay sixth because Sac Republic lost. So he said, go lose, and that way we can keep New Mexico out of this. But San Antonio, and I really feel for San Antonio, in particular Harry. For anyone who's been around USL Twitter for any period of time knows he's like the diehard SAFC fan, and that is like the ultimate sucker punch to miss the playoffs the last day of the season like that. So I'm sure at some point in Locomotive's history, hopefully far in the future, we'll experience something like that. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. It sounds harsh to say, but I'd rather just be eliminated before the last week of the season than to have to deal with that.
Yeah. So the thing on everybody's mind, it is Saturday. We go to Fresno, a scene that, I mean, I don't think we'll be too keen to remember, but the last time we visited Fresno, unfortunately, 3-0 loss. But recently here, we did get that 2-1 win, the late winner from Jerome Kieswetter at home. So Fresno and us, as we've talked about basically every time we talk about a preview, very different than our last visit to Fresno in terms of where our squad is at right now.
Absolutely, and we talk about it because I really don't think it can be stated enough. It was just so different. Like I said it last time, I think that was Daniel Navarro's last appearance for the team.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was, starting in our back four, that just really says something about where we were as a team at that time.
Yeah, we definitely weren't settled to the level that we were, or that we are now, I would say, defensively. That first choice back four, we know Mark's preferred style, especially on the road and early in the season, was stay defensively compact, defend well, try to get a goal on the counter. Do you think he kind of goes back to that from the kind of more freewheeling style that we've seen on the road these last few games? Reno, in particular, I think comes to mind. That even though it ended 0-0, lots of chances at both ends. Do you think Mark tries to reel that in a little bit, or do you think he just goes gung ho and we're playing with house money, so we're gonna try to get something from this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can afford to play like that at this point. Obviously, it didn't work well for us last time, even though, like we said, it was a different team. But I just think that our recent success, you can't fix it if it's not broken. So just keep going, and we're in the playoffs, man. Like, you have no. I mean, obviously you have a game to lose, but like at this point, to be where we are, like you said, just playing with house money, just go for it. I will be upset if I feel like we are playing conservatively at any point in the game.
I would say the only time I think I'd be happy with us playing conservatively is if we already have like a 2 or 3 goal advantage. Then I'm okay. Let's lock it down and keep things from getting too exciting. But yeah, even at 0-0 or even 1-0, I think I'd feel more comfortable with us just trying to keep control of the game and go for more.
Yeah, and you want everyone to, at this point, 34 games under the belt, you want everyone to get every minute of rest they can, so why bother playing an extra... I don't know if it's 2 15-minute halves in this league as well.
In extra time? Yeah, it'll be 2 15-minute.
Yeah, so why worry about going out there and playing an extra 30? I'm pretty sure that the players would rather give 100% for 90 than have to stick out an extra 30 at the end of the game.
The form of Fresno is a bit of a strange one, and they haven't won since they beat Phoenix and ended their streak on September 21st. Since then, they have lost 4 of 5, and a couple of them are like bad losses. If you wanna go down that list real quick.
Yeah, I mean 2-1 to San Antonio in San Antonio, 2-1 to El Paso with Jerome, putting in the dagger right at the end there.
Yeah.
But 4-1 to Tacoma in Fresno is unexplainable. Though granted, I mean, Tacoma put quite a run together at the end of the season. So props to them also for not just kind of throwing in the towel 10 weeks ago, whenever it was that they were mathematically eliminated. And then a 2-2 draw against Los Dos at home. And then losing to Orange County 2-0 on Saturday too. So quite a hard run over the last month for them, but that bodes well for us. They have an uphill battle too in missing 2 of their better players this game as well.
Yeah, the 2 it's 2 injuries, right, for them?
No, 2 red cards.
Oh, 2 red cards. Yeah, it's
Kudus Lawal.
Yeah.
And Ramon Del Campo, both midfielders, I believe.
Yeah. And Lawal, if memory serves, Lawal scored against us at least once in that match in Fresno. I think he terrorized us in that one. So I mean, he can be a very good player on his day. We know that Jamie Chavez is going to be that danger man for them. But we seem to do all right when there's kind of one focal point of the attack. Do you think that we just kind of like, I mean, is it that simple where you just can mark that guy out of the game a little bit?
I think so. I mean, it's definitely easier to worry about one weapon instead of 2. I think a lot of the teams that have given us trouble do have kind of that pick your poison kind of thing. Orange County in the last game, Phoenix, New Mexico even. It's just so much harder when you have twice as much to worry about.
For Locomotive in this one, so we know Fresno's threat is going to be Chavez primarily, but for Locomotive, who's the player that you're looking to in this game to be that guy who's the man of the match at the end of this playoff game?
Well, I'm hoping to see something from Velasquez, of course. I think he's probably the most skilled player on the whole roster, so, you hope he steps up for the playoffs. But kind of the dark horse, I think, is probably Kiffy. I think the only actual champion on our roster, someone who's kind of been through this run. I don't know what kind of team Was it Sacramento?
It was Sacramento.
So I don't know what kind of team they were that year that they won the championship. I don't know if they were more of a Phoenix or if they were kind of in our shoes, kind of a middle of the pack kind of team. But the fact that he's been through this already,
Right.
hopefully he can bring a little bit of wisdom and composure to the team, and to a lot of the younger players like let's say Gomez or Chapa, who might, who knows, get significant minutes, significant play out there.
I am. I'm going Velasquez. I mean, I think we've championed both the Sebas at different points of the season. Velasquez truly is, like, I think, at his best, I think Velasquez is one of the best players in USL, bar none. When he's at the height of his powers. The player that I'm looking to in this one, though, is a guy who it would seem obvious, or it would have seemed obvious midseason, but things have just gone so sideways for him, and it's Jerome Kieswetter. And so I hope that, a week off, maybe clear his head, just kind of get away a little bit, just I don't know, focus on just playing his game. I really hope that we can see just an improved performance from Jerome, because when we saw him at home, he obviously, he doesn't play in the Los Dos game, so we last saw him in that game against Timbers 2, and despite the scoreline, he misses a couple of chances. He was generally pretty poor for most of the first half, so I'm really looking forward to an improved Jerome Kieswetter performance and back up to that level. Because, I mean, if we have Seba and Jerome clicking, then there's nothing that, we can hang with anybody if both those guys are firing on all cylinders. But we haven't seen it quite yet. We haven't seen a game where Seba and Jerome are both, performing at the very, very top. So I'm interested to see, if that can click now, then that would basically be a godsend for a playoff run.
Yeah, and I assume that's probably what Mark has to be telling everyone on the team, is kind of it's now or never. If you feel like you haven't had your best season, out of your career, then what better time than now with this new team, with the support of the city behind you, to go out and do it, get it done now, and make this the best season of your career, for the next 4 games.
Right. We are in this crazy situation now where it, a few wins, just we've seen it, an unbeaten run, if you will. We've gone, unbeaten at different periods of the season for 9 games, for 6 games. A 5-match unbeaten run means you're the champions of the USL. So it's as crazy as it seems. These playoffs are just built in such a way that you can literally go on a small hot streak and win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean it's just incredible, and at some point in the season, obviously Phoenix is still a team and a team to be taken very seriously, but I'm glad that they don't take that run of theirs into the playoffs. I think that's very intimidating.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, 4 weeks ago, Fresno kind of showed the league that they were human.
Yeah.
Because I think that just really opens things up even more.
The thing that I wanted to point out, so this is a stat from Mike Watts, who along with Devin Kerr make up the primary kind of USL broadcast team. And I retweeted this a couple of days ago, but Mike Watts, he tweeted out, as Devin Kerr noted, form in the last 5 games from USL Championship Finals winners, none have 2 or more losses. So no one's lost 2 games in their last 5 of the regular season and gone on to win the trophy. So 2014, Sac Republic won it. They were 3 wins, a draw, and a loss in their last game, or in their last 5 games. 2015, Rochester Rhinos had 3 wins out of 5. New York Red Bulls in 2016 had 4 wins and 1 loss. And then Louisville in both theirs, a 2-1-2, which is which is a little dicey. But then in 2018, for the repeat last season, Louisville won all 5 of their last 5 matches and went on to win the trophy. So teams that fit that that description of not having more than 2 losses in their last 5 games: Nashville, Pittsburgh, Louisville, Charleston, Reno, Salt Lake City, Real Monarchs, El Paso, LA, and New Mexico United. So is a champion among them was the question that he asked. Notably not on that list, Fresno.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely good news. What I thought was interesting about that is that, how many did you say? There were 4 of those were Western Conference teams?
Yeah.
So that's just...
Three of the 4. Of
that list, how many of those were Western Conference teams?
5 of them.
5 out of 8, was it?
Yeah.
So I think that just kind of adds to what we're saying about how anything could happen here. And I just love reading stuff like that. It just makes it that much more exciting, much more nerve-wracking, obviously. But also that can't help but make you as a fan feel way more hopeful about things also.
The next thing I wanted to talk about, we've had a long season of picking out those players from the USL. Each time that we played a team, we picked a player who we would describe as a shithouse, a player who I said takes the beautiful game and turns it into something a little bit more sinister. The Shithouse 11 finally came together, and some of the selections are on the subs bench, which I wasn't able to publish in the picture. There are a few not named, but this starting 11. I mean, first of all, your overall impression of this starting 11 when you see a lineup like this come out, is there any gut reaction that you have?
I mean, what a team. I want to scream lots of things at them is what comes to mind, is that if all these guys came out on the field at the same time, I would not want my mother next to me at that game.
So the Shithouse 11 comes out. I just want to go down the list from the number 1 goalkeeper all the way up to the front line. And just some short thoughts about their inclusion in the team. So first and foremost, and maybe fittingly so, Zach Lubin in goal for the Shithouse 11. Gets into the team primarily because of the shoulder check on Edson in Phoenix that night. But it's a pretty solid keeper to have in the Shithouse 11.
I mean, if I had to choose one from the league, I mean, it's a solid choice.
Yeah.
He's no Ketterer, I'll say that much.
No, that's very true. I went with 3 at the back because we're really five defenders in total. This is a very defensive formation, as we talked about, but Josue Soto, who's playing tonight for Austin, he's been booked in this game also. So just to fit, to show that we don't just make this up. Matt Mahoney from Sac Republic in the center, and then Javon Torre from Las Vegas Lights. I mean, Torre, a little bit of I would say like the weirdest of the shithouses in that he's also scored a screamer for New Mexico. So not our least favorite player of all time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember that goal to this day. Yeah. And that I remember a goal from a game where I didn't care about either of the teams that happened like 4 months ago. I think that just shows you kind of the impact of what a goal it was. So, yeah, good to have him there.
The next 2, it's the fullbacks. Josh Suggs of New Mexico United out there on the left, and Jordan Burt out on the right. But in particular, Jordan Burt's mustache playing on the right. Suggs became kind of a hated player across USL for his collective versus individual comments against Phoenix. So Are there going to be many arguments about Suggs' inclusion?
I doubt it from anyone. Yeah, forget that guy.
Jordan Burt, and then just the mustache is just atrocious and deserves inclusion all its own.
Thank God we don't have to see any more of that in the postseason.
The three in midfield, we had Jesse Daly, who Tacoma Defiance, young Australian. Between the two games against Locomotive, it felt like he could have picked up about 11 yellow cards.
Yeah, God. I just am so glad no one got hurt in those games.
Yeah. Rafa Garcia included in that defensive midfielder spot. RGV, or wait, am I misremembering? OKC, sorry, OKC Energy scored a pen for them against us in the 1-1 draw away. Just kind of your typical defensive midfielder, lots of fouls, but then can score the pen as well.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough combination. I feel there's something about that defensive midfielder position. I feel if someone else were making their shithouse 11, that Yuma might be on that roster.
Yuma definitely would make his way into it. Yeah. And then Kevin Aleman from Sac Republic included a little bit more of a winger, but I put him in midfield here. He came on. He actually got included because he came on in Sac Republic's home or away loss in El Paso. He came on and immediately tried to start a fight with about 3 different Locomotive players. So he had a little bit of a different impact in the game in Sacramento. He's a little more of an attacking presence, but definitely played the role of shithouse in that match in El Paso.
Definitely.
We just saw the introduction of one of the forwards for the Shithouse 11. Chris Tierpak has just come on for Austin Bold here in the 75th minute. And Tierpak, known for his headgear, but also just a little bit of a grinder up there on the front line.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the headband there, but from the very first time I saw him in that very first game, I was just waiting for him to do something, and I wasn't disappointed.
And then up top, I mean, I'm almost sad to give them as good a goal scorer as they got, but this guy is a shithouse by the very definition. Adam John up top. Just a big old body that he likes to throw around. Yeah,
and I mean, he is in position to do it with lots of other bodies around him a lot. You know, whenever he's in the box, I feel like most of the team has to go up and kind of try and cover that, and so he gets an opportunity to make a lot of contact.
So that is the Shithouse 11. Austin, I do like your idea. when the Pez mod comes out, we should make the team and do a super sim. I think that would be interesting to see where they finish. I mean, do you think that I don't know about you, but I think this team could be pretty good, actually.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, kind of a goal differential maybe of like +2.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to do a lot of scoring, but I don't think that they're going to allow very much through. So definitely a team that I would hate to play against.
Yeah, I made the joke naturally. Oh, and they're managed by Eric Winalda.
Oh, how could we forget?
I almost forgot.
Oh, we forgot because he left before we could finish.
He walked out. And their home stadium is Papa Murphy's Park in Sacramento, specifically during a torrential downpour / hailstorm. But I said naturally they play in a defensive 5-3-2 formation, bent on frustrating the absolute hell out of you for 90 minutes before John gets on the end of a set piece in stoppage time for the 1-0 win. So that's more or less what the situation would be. Yeah, goal difference +1. Although, I mean, the way they're set up, they may just not ever concede. They may just be so. There will be plenty of games that they don't score in, but there's also going to be a lot of games that their opponents don't score, and I feel like, but we will have to leave it up to the computers, I guess, to figure that one out. So a result I didn't talk about in the play-in games that came across, Ottawa Fury has been eliminated by Charleston Battery on the road. And so in the East, both the road teams got the job done. That was on penalties. Charleston needing all five penalties, winning 5-4, I believe. Yeah, winning 5-4 on pens. So Charleston Battery, I believe, are the 10th seed out of the East. So where is... Now that we're in the playoffs, the table is gone, which is annoying to me on FOTMA. But I believe they snuck in, and I think they have something like a negative 16 goal difference.
Ugh.
And they snuck into the playoffs because St. Louis just had an atrocious run in. So, yeah. Oh, and not one save coming from Austin. Not one save in that penalty shootout. Ottawa just hit the post. So neither goalkeeper made a save in the shootout. It does look like Bold are probably going to advance. So Austin will at least, depending on what Locomotive's able to do in the next round, they'll match the conference quarterfinal berth for expansion teams out west, and we'll have to wait on that result out in New Mexico. But while we're at it, I wanted to talk brackets, and I had trouble committing. So I'm gonna do mine. I'm gonna do mine live. But I want to go with yours. That you've already completed yours.
Yes, I had to go over it a couple times just because, like you, I have commitment issues. But I felt like I needed to have one done.
So we're gonna go over our brackets. And let us know what you guys think of each of these as we go through it. So we're starting in the West, and the first match is Phoenix against the play-in. I mean, it's Phoenix.
Yeah, I if someone decides to pick the other one, I just want to talk to them and just kind of pick their brain, figure out what they think is going to happen, because maybe I'm missing something.
They're a New Mexico United fan who thinks that they'll beat SAC and then beat Phoenix in the
that's what it is. Okay.
LA Galaxy on the screwed it up on the counter. So the next one is Rail Monarchs at home against Orange County. This is, for me, just based on form, I'm really tempted. I think OC gets it done in this one.
I agree. That's who I have picked as well. Just like you said, because coming off of current form, and I think that they gave us a way harder time than Monarchs did in either time that we played them.
LA Galaxy somehow have not scored it was a really good move, just no shot at the end of it. That's kind of us, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, we feel you.
So it looks like, given the current result, it looks like Austin Bold are going to be the team to square up against Reno in that second seed. Both Reno and Fresno in the 2 and 3, not particularly stellar on their run-ins. I know playing them at home, I felt good about how we played against them, but Bold having to play Wednesday, Reno coming off a full week's rest, still think Reno's the pick.
I think so too. They're definitely, like you said, between the 2 and the 3 seeds. I think that they're both very beatable teams, but Austin's legs have to be tired after the end of this season.
Well, and the other thing that comes into play now is I made a joke earlier today about the age of their squad, but now here at the end of the season, that may actually make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, credit to them. You couldn't tell from looking at this game. I mean, they're dominating this game, and this is an incredibly physical game. 6 cards. Already. I would have guessed more because I feel like every time I look up, there's someone being carded.
Yeah.
But you think that that might just kind of add to everything on top of this and make it that much harder for them in Reno?
The next one, I mean, it's Fresno versus Locomotive. No matter like what we just talked about with Fresno, we know that this is an eminently winnable match for Locomotive. So, as the Locomotive homers that we are, we're going Loco.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a loss would be, as an individual result, I think a loss would be a disappointment for us. Obviously, like we said, for us collectively with the season, very happy with it. But taking this game in under a microscope, we should absolutely win this game.
Now we venture into uncharted territory because we head out east, and so just going off of the very basics of what we know about the East. We're gonna go Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Riverhounds are top, and just going strictly off of the fact that obviously they finished top of the West or top of the East. They only lost 4 games the entire season.
Yeesh.
So I think they're going to be a tough out. They had 11 draws in that, which is partially why they finished top, because Nashville actually had 1 more win than them, but 3 more losses. So it's tough to beat that. So yeah, Pittsburgh very tough to beat. So I'm going with them as the 1 seed. Then it gets a little tricky because you got Louisville City, who have won the last 2 USL championship trophies. So they're going for a Jordan-esque three-peat here. But the Tampa Bay Rowdies, despite spending most of the beginning of the season like towards the top of the table, they finished with the same goal difference as Pittsburgh, who was top. So that to me kind of shows that maybe Tampa Bay not getting the results that they deserve based on, I mean, to have a plus 28 goal difference and finish 5th is crazy. So I'm torn on this one because you've got Louisville, who are extremely good in the playoffs, just historically, and Tampa Bay, who on paper I think might be the better team.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up taking Tampa Bay. Honestly, Louisville's just won a little bit too much recently, so I figured it was someone else's turn at this point.
I'm always like, I get in my bracketology brain of, have I picked enough upsets? So I've picked a 6 over a 3. I picked a 5 over a 4 already. So I'm gonna go Louisville just to differentiate from you a little bit here. But I think that should be an extremely interesting match, especially for a first round matchup. The next is Nashville versus this will be, now we know who it'll be, because the low seed will be Charleston against Pittsburgh, and then the high seed will be Birmingham, I guess, because I believe Charleston is sitting in that 10th spot. So
Charleston is 9th.
Oh, Charleston's 9th.
Yeah.
And Birmingham's 10th?
Yes. So Birmingham will be playing Pittsburgh.
Birmingham will play Pittsburgh, and Charleston gets a date with Nashville SC. So I'm going for Nashville just because, especially for Charleston to have played extra time in Canada, and now 3 days later they're going to be in Nashville. Just a lot to ask of any team.
Yeah, and even if they do go into extra time, knowing that their keeper made no saves in that penalty shootout does not bode well if it gets to that point either.
The next one, Indy 11 versus Red Bull 2. Indy finished the season with just a plus 19 goal difference, but they only allowed 29 goals in 34 matches, which is just about, it's 7 better than us, I guess, by the end of the season. So 29, that defense is pretty ridiculous. But Red Bull actually finished with a better goal difference down there in 6th. So it's another like kind of tough one to call, where Red Bull scores more goals, But Indy's defense, the immovable object versus the unstoppable force.
Yeah. In this one, I picked the logo that stood out to me more. I'm going to be 100% honest here. I did not go into the analytics of it all for the Eastern Conference. And it was partially the logo and partially just like you were saying, did I pick enough upsets? So I went 50-50 in the first round.
The next matchup, we're back to the West. We're back on solid ground.
Here we go.
Phoenix versus Orange County.
I think it'll be a fun game. I think that it will be kind of a slugfest, probably about 6 goals scored maybe. Yeah. But I think that Phoenix probably takes it in the end. They're just the team to beat in this tournament.
I think this is a potential stumbling block for Phoenix. I'm not going to pick that because I want us to be the stumbling block for Phoenix, but no, I think Phoenix versus OC does provide that kind of almost a little bit of a marquee matchup in terms of, OC have their 2 very solid attackers in Michael Seaton and Darwin Jones. So like up against that front 3 of Phoenix, I think that kind of has the feel of almost like a boxing match where you've got you've got the skill on both sides. But I do think Phoenix ultimately has the edge, one being at home, but also their defense is far superior to Orange County's, and that has been basically their downfall this season. The next one, it isn't exactly what we want because we are going to root for Reno to lose, but Reno versus Locomotive in the conference semifinal. We saw how well Locomotive played in Reno just a couple of weeks ago, and that was as the 3rd game of a 3-game week. Although it ended 0-0, 9 chances created, lots of opportunities, especially early. Do you think Locomotive can go back to Reno and get a result?
I think so. I mean, that last game was just a matter of luck and of things just not going quite our way, but we were definitely the better team that time around, and I think that we beat them once already. Yeah. We should have beat them the second time, and I don't think that. I think that Mark has whatever there is to their game. I think Mark has them figured out. It's just a matter of a couple things going right for us.
Back to the East. This is where it's going to get a little dicey. So that first conference semifinal, you have Tampa Bay in there. I have Louisville in there versus Pittsburgh. I'm going to say that this is where the run ends for the 2-time defending champs, and I'm just gonna say on the basis of the fact that Pittsburgh doesn't lose a lot of games that they're gonna move on.
Okay, that's fair. I Tampa Bay is my Cinderella in this tournament, so I have them winning. Like I said, just to have a Cinderella. So I have them winning this one.
The next one I have Nashville against Indy 11, and I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with Indy. With that defense, it could go all the way to extra time penalties, but I think they get it done and get to the conference final.
Yeah, I think Nashville is the kind of the solid pick in the Eastern Conference. I think. Again, not a whole lot of thought. I just feel like I heard their name a lot during the regular season, so I just feel a little more confident about picking them.
So the marquee matchup, and I mean, if this does happen, obviously hopefully we'll be there for it. There in Phoenix, I would 1,000% travel to a conference final in Phoenix. Phoenix versus El Paso Locomotive. Locomotive in this reality that we've built, the Cinderella run. Does it continue all the way to the final, or does it come to an abrupt end there in Phoenix?
I think that we finally get the game that we've wanted against Phoenix, where the scoreboard shows how tight it was the whole time. I think we had a 2-1 loss and a 2-0 loss against them.
Yeah.
I think that this one, in what would have been a draw, during the regular season and the type of games I had, I think we get the extra time in here. But I just have a lot of respect for Phoenix and their goal scoring ability. And not that we have the ability to create goals, but Phoenix, it just seems like they create them out of absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I just think that extra stroke of luck, or whatever you want to call it, is what gets you through these tournaments. And I think that this is where this is the last stop for the Locomotive.
I think we can all agree that if it ends in the conference final, that is more than anyone would have expected in the first season.
Absolutely, and I will have no regrets about anything. I hope that if it comes to that like we would say, Mark puts out like 5 forwards.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens, because we're here.
Yeah.
So that's what I would imagine happens, and I'm picking Phoenix, but hopefully it would go the other way.
As much as I want to click underneath El Paso Locomotive, I want, like, my heart says to do it, but the insanity of picking us to go to the final just seems like way too much for one season. So I'm gonna go Phoenix, and I'm gonna treat it as a, for you, those of you in the chat who have watched these streams before and gave me a bunch of crap about saying that we were gonna beat Austin 3-0. I'm gonna go Phoenix, and that way, if we make the final, you can look back on this moment and say, Phil and Christian, willed this into existence by not voting for it.
Yeah, I think this is historic. I don't think we've ever picked against Locomotive in any of our episodes, even when we were playing against Phoenix earlier in the season.
Yeah.
So this is a groundbreaking moment.
So the question is, who joins Phoenix in the final? For me, we know how tough it is for 1 seeds to make it out of tournaments and to make it to the final. So I'm going to go Indy with the upset against Pittsburgh, and it'll be Phoenix and Indy for the final.
Okay. So I had mine set up Nashville against Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. I think this is where the Cinderella story comes to an end. And you get the higher seed, the performance through the season kind of paying off and getting to that final, setting up Phoenix and Nashville.
So in the final, Phoenix went to the final last season and lost to Louisville. I think they overcome the voodoo, if you will, of getting to the final and losing, and come back and win their first USL championship trophy. So I'm going for Phoenix to take it all.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in a game where you don't really have a stake in it, you kind of have to choose the outcome that makes you look best, I think. Yeah. And to say that we played against, the league champion, and hopefully the game just before that final game, we gave them we put up a really good fight to see that they were the victors, kind of. It's a better look for us.
It is it really is just awesome to be involved in these playoffs. We talked about how tiers were kind of emerging there as the season progressed, of like the different levels of teams, and so to be amongst that top 6, despite the fact that the season ends in that loss in LA. To finish in that top 6, just especially after all of the I guess like the lack of attention paid to El Paso, especially preseason, before anyone really knew what was going on. It's just a bit satisfying to be in a place where I can feel comfortable, and have seen even non-Locomotive fans predicting Locomotive making a run just based on who we play. On the way through, it's kind of great to be able to speak about it and not seem totally delusional selecting El Paso to make the conference final.
Yeah, I think as as good as we've shown that we are this season, I think that that run to end the season just really did a lot for the team, for us as fans, just to give us a much more positive outlook and help us feel a lot better about our chances to come out of that stretch and beat Sacramento and beat Fresno, beat Fresno and draw Reno all in a span of like 10 days.
Yeah.
It just means a whole lot, and I think it just really shows that we're not no one in this league. We're genuine contenders.
Yep. This is I've switched over Sacramento and New Mexico. There, the teams are coming out. I think we'll probably call the episode there. I think it feels like a natural kind of breaking point. But I hope you guys will tune in to that match because it does promise to be a great one. I will say I think my fears are being realized. Of Sacramento did their big MLS announcement. A bunch of people there on Monday. Wednesday, an actual soccer match is being played, and the stands are not full, is what I'll say.
Well,
a bit frustrating that the business announcement gets a little more attention than the actual match.
Yeah, I'll have to say, I'll defend Sacramento a little bit. Is I think on the West Coast here a little more liberal in terms of your concept of time, so. Maybe they'll show up about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. I'll buy that. I am rooting for Sacramento, though, so...
As you all should be.
Yeah.
Whoever's listening to this.
The weather actually looks good out there at Papa Murphy's Park, so, definitely tune in if you guys have ESPN Plus. Tune in and check this match out. It should be good. I hope Sac can just absolutely bury them. Interesting to note that Sacramento. Am I reading that right? Is that 6 draws all season?
That's
6
how I read
losses
it.
all
I'm
season?
pretty sure it's win loss draw.
Let's see. Only 6 draws, 14 losses. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean they barely. I mean they're just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They lost 4 more games than New Mexico and finished 4 places above them. That's wild. Anyways, I will probably keep this one muted because I hate hearing the commentary whenever New Mexico's involved. But it will be a fun match. We'll see how it goes, and hopefully we're looking at the next round without a New Mexico black and gold representative.
You got an itchy Twitter finger, Phil. I know you do.
Yeah, I always do. But thank you guys for tuning in. This episode will also go up for those who didn't tune in live. We'll have it up on our normal podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, as per usual. And it'll stay up on the YouTube, so if that's your preferred way of consuming content, then you can listen here as well. We will be at Whiskey Blonde on Saturday for the live watch along. If you can't make it out to Whiskey Blonde, then you can tune in right here on our YouTube and mute the feed, the ESPN Plus feed, and you can hear the biased Locomotive commentary that you've always wanted from us. Other than that, our schedule will kind of just be playing things by ear, I think, the rest of the season, and we'll stick to our normal schedule as long as Locomotive keep playing, and then one of these days we'll do a kind of a year roundup, and as New Mexico have taken the lead inside 20 seconds.
I'm pretty sure that was an own goal.
And yeah, wow.
Why do I feel like we just lost a game?
Anyways, oh my god. I should have done the outro a little quicker.
You talk too much, Phil.
Yep. And anyways,
Lassane can't even believe what just happened.
No. It's out of absolutely nothing. But Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll was that Mahoney? No, it was someone else.
Oh, that
if
would
it was
be
Mahoney,
hilarious.
then Mika would have.
Oh my god, that's just
literally
god
just shanks it
awful.
into his own net. Wow. All he has to do is not try to kick it. Like
The
if he just
goalie's
stood
there.
if he just stood there, nothing would have happened. But anyways, yeah, we will see you guys on Saturday for the watch along. Luckily, the outcome of this match doesn't affect us unless New Mexico beat. Well, they would put.
They
no,
play
New
Phoenix
Mexico would play
regardless.
Phoenix. So at the earliest we could see them is the conference final. So it doesn't. And that won't happen. So
Yeah.
I'm not even entertaining that idea. So
Sign off, Phil. Sign off.
yeah, I'm trying. Stuff keeps happening. Anyways, later, guys, and until next time, stay loco.
I can't believe that just happened.